Alright everyone, it's your boy Kane Natsuki here, and welcome back to another spanking hot what if video. And today I'm doing, because y'all are asking for it, part 3. What if Naruto was Shukaku's son. I cannot believe that this what if series I just came up with got the love that it did. It's an original idea, and I think y'all are liking that a lot. Huh? But before we get started, if you have not watched the video, please watch the video. If you have not watched the 2 videos before this, then what the hell are you doing watching this one? Watch the 2 videos before it. Okay? Then come back to this one. Okay? Anyways. This is what if Naruto was Shukaku's son. Part 3. Now, where we last left off was Kaguya Otsutsuki. He basically kidnapping, or basically bringing the two into her room while they were both knocked out unconscious. Now y'all might be wondering, wait, how exactly are they knocked out unconscious? Of course, as I explained in the second part, she created a table, some chairs, and 3 cups of tea. 1 cup of tea was untouched, while the other 2 were sleep-inducing. Therefore, they drank the sleep-inducing tea and she did not. So, and she didn't even say a single word about it. About what types of tea she was putting down. Therefore, it went by completely unnoticed. As anyways, where we last left off, she put them in a special room she created for all 3 of them. And, well, she would have also made them 2 collars. And a couple of other things. As Kaguya is basically dabbling, she's just dabbling away in her main room, as she is sewing and knitting. Now you might be wondering, why is she doing that? Simple. She is making 2 kimonos. She is making 2 kimonos. One is red and black. The other is white and cyan, or white and blue. As the 2 kimonos look like this. This is Naruto's kimono, and this is Amaya's kimono. As Kaguya right now is working on these 2 kimonos for them. As suddenly she hears a noise coming from her special room. Coming from her room. As it sounds like groaning. She finishes up the last few stitches on the second kimono she's made, as she then walks over to the room, where she sees Naruto awaking. And as he then says, "Where am I? What in the..." As he sees Kaguya, as in says, Where'd you bring us? Where are we? As she then says, welcome to your new home. Or, well, your new home until I can trust you both. Right now I'm making you both kimonos. Since, after all, they'll be the last piece of clothing you'll ever put on. As Naruto would immediately think, is she gonna try and kill us? As she obviously would be able to telepathically hear this thought of Naruto's, as she then says, oh, don't worry, I'm not going to kill you. What I mean by last thing you'll ever put on is that once these clothes are on, they cannot come off. As they're made of special chakra threads, which will make it impossible to take off or damage. The kimonos can never get dirty, damaged, or be taken off. And they never have to be re-washed. As she then says, anyways, here you go, Naruto. As she hands him this red kimono. As Naruto basically walks over to the corner that he feels most comfortable with, the one representing his emotion, the one that looks like it's made for a lunatic or an insane person, as he basically walks over to the area, and well, suddenly a sort of invisible barrier appears. As to Naruto it seems invisible, but to Naruto it seems like there's no barrier, but to everyone on the other two sides of the room, it seems like there's a wall. As Kaguya would have prepared for any occasion, even changing. As Kaguya would then say, and if you are going to get freaky, and if you're going to do any sort of, things, you can basically turn the clothes off, as they can become invisible and intangible, so it seems like they aren't there. As Kaguya then says, and basically smiles at Naruto, as she then says, please wake up, Amaya. Breakfast is soon. As Naruto then says, okay. As Naruto then wakes up Amaya. Now, this same thing happens with Amaya, except she's given this kimono. As the two basically walk downstairs, where they can see Kaguya basically cooking. As she is cooking a grand feast. As she then says, sorry, it's been so long since I've actually had to cook or had anyone over. So please do not mind if the cooking is bad, or a bit undercooked or overcooked. Okay? As she then hands them each a plethora of feasts as they begin eating. As she then says one other thing about those clothes. that when you have them on, you are quite literally incapable of getting fat. As she then says, as fun fact, I only weigh 148 pounds. As they're confused, if she eats like this, then how on earth is she that skinny? As she then says, the clothes are chakra induced. Basically, once you have them on, you can't take them off. They can appear to be off. You can and never get fat. And, well, there's a whole. And, well, they cannot be dirtied or ruined. They cannot be harmed. Basically, it's like an impenetrable shield, an impenetrable, soft fabric piece of armor that can do many, many, many different things. As Kaguya would then say, anyways, it's about time I introduced myself. My name is Kaguya Atsutsuki. However, well, basically, I'm your parents' grandparent. So I'm like your great-grandma, I guess you could say. As the two basically look at Kaguya, then look at themselves, they then say, how? You don't look anything like a big, towering Biju. As she then says, I don't, do I? Well then. As Kaguya then closes her eyes. As she then begins harnessing all the chakra from her body and focusing it at her core. Or her biggest and most valuable chakra point. As she then begins harnessing all of her chakra there and begins changing it completely around, like 180 degrees around. She then releases all the chakra out. As suddenly, Kaguya's horns begin to grow. As her hair begins to change, and well, she herself begins to change. As suddenly Kaguya transforms into a giant bunny that looks like this. Or a giant rabbit-like form that looks like this. And she then says, behold. Hold. I am the rabbit goddess, Kaguya Atsutsuki. I am the mother of all chakra, and the most powerful of the godly beings known as the Atsutsuki. I am fully immortal after devouring a crucial point of power known as a chakra fruit. It was on Earth gathering energy and gathering chakra and energy for many years. Then I came and devoured that fruit, which would then in turn give me full immortality and enhance my abilities far beyond anything I could comprehend. Hold on. I'm telling you, boy, I'm not a Dragon Ball fanboy. That's why I changed my intro. By the way, sorry about the flipping, about the screen flip during the intro. That was not supposed to happen. I get it, boy. Yes, I like Dragon Ball. No, I'm not like a giant Dragon Ball fan. Sure, I have a Master Roshi Dragon Ball hat, and also a Leaf Village hat. But no, I am not a Dragon Ball fan. Okay? No, I am not. I'm not a big old Dragon Ball fan buff that's seen, oh my god, all since the original Dragon Ball, all the way up till the last second of the newest episode. Like, nah. You have any idea how many sagas that is? Like, nah. I want to be a Dragon Ball fan. I really do. It's just, I think I'll spend like 10 years of my life trying to watch the whole darn series. Alright, an entire year of my life trying to watch the whole darn series. Because you have any idea how many sagas there is. And not just Dragon Ball Heroes, Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball everything. Everything, the entire franchise. You have any idea how many sagas there are? Yeah, I don't think so. But anyways, back to the what if. As Kaguya would then do the exact same thing she did, as she would then revert back into this form. As she would then say, sorry about that, but that is my true form. Or my divine form, I guess you could say. Your parents are my grandchildren, along with my... Now, their parent, I'm their father. He's my son, but I hate his guts. Do not ask me why. As basically, Kaguya would then say, anyways, time for training. As she would then say, I require you both to be very strong. So, let's see how your taijutsu is. As the three would begin, and as she would basically create a small training ground where there were two sides. On one side there was Amaya and Naruto, and on the other side was Kaguya. As Kaguya would rush over to Naruto and Amaya and begin bodying them with taijutsu. As Naruto and Amaya, not knowing a single thing about taijutsu, would have been bodied. As she would then say, it appears you're lacking a lot in taijutsu. It's okay. It's okay. In the following years, in the following millennia to come, in the following eons to come, I will teach you everything you need to know about how taijutsu, genjutsu, as she would reveal her third eye, kenjutsu, as she would create a katana right in her hand, and ninjutsu, as she would then make a fireball without doing any hand signs. As she would then say, also senjutsu, as, well, she would basically summon a ginormous rabbit, and a ginormous, like a regular ginormous brown rabbit. As she would then say, and also, Okike Genkai. As she says, however, we'll have many eons to work on all of that. After all, please read what is on your necks. As the two would look at their necks, and then see the collars. As they would say, What does that mean? As Kaguya would then say, it means you're my property. Meaning that as long as I exist, you two will exist. As long as I am in this realm, you too will be in this realm. As long as I am happy, you will be happy. As long as I am angry, you will be angry. Pretty much, now I permanently own you. And anything that I feel, you will feel. As Kaguya would then say, anywho, how about we cuddle? After all, it's been quite some time since I've, had any affection. And as basically, the three then teleport into a fourth room, and into a second bedroom. This bedroom has a bed that is white, cyan, and red. As she then says, as I made this last night, well, I made this earlier while you two were asleep. Anywho, let's cuddle. As Kaguya would lay down in the middle of the bed, Naruto would lay on the right, and, Amaya would lay down on the left, as the two would fall asleep, and as the three would fall asleep. As while they slept in the physical world, in the mental world, basically, Kaguya would be there in the mental world, having some fun, I'll say. I forgot to mention one other crucial detail you might hate. This does include insane Kaguya. Remember, from my first couple of Kaguya ship videos, I had her kind of insane. Yeah, that's the type of stuff that will be in this series. As she would basically begin brainwashing them, and, making them love her, only her, respecting her, caring for her. Basically, brainwashing and hypnotism that is permanent. Quite literally. As when the morning comes and the three awake, Kaguya then says, good morning, I've made the three of us some eggs. As the two basically rush down and say, Thank you, Kaguya, for getting us. Thank you, Kaguya. As she then says, no problem. As she then smiles and says, anyways, I forgot to go. Anyways, I'm basically making a surprise for you guys, so I need to leave the 11th realm, if that's okay with you. As they would then say, yes, but may we come with? As she then thinks and says, you know what, fine, you two can come with. to outside of the 11th realm, as the two would basically then say, "Yay," as they would rush over and hug Kaguya. As the two would basically be brought to, and as the three would basically walk outside of the blank world, back into the Arabian Nights, and back into the outside of the 11th realm. And she would then say, well, we're going to need some batter from and we're going to need some mix from the first realm. So, hold on. As they would see a barge that was just conveniently parked at the entrance/exit of the land and of the realm of the sea, Dune Sea. As they would basically get on the barge, as well, Kaguya would begin rowing, and Kaguya would begin steering the boat and the barge, as they would eventually reach, Shukaku capital. As Shukaku capital is basically like a kingdom within this realm. As there we see a man searching around, as he then says, "Come on, where is he? He was supposed to be here. He was supposed to be here he was supposed to be here yesterday before dinner. Naruto! Naruto!" Ashikaku is looking for Naruto. As Kaguya basically hears this, as she then says, it appears some people are saying some random things. Please don't pay attention. As the two then say, "Hey, okay, Kaguya." As it's like they're now deaf to all except her voice. As the two basically, as the barge begins moving a bit faster, but they can't tell. As Shukaku basically sees the barge, as he then notices Naruto and Amaya. As he then says, "There they are. Huh? Naruto and Saiken's daughter? Oh god." As he then says, "Hold on." As he then turns on into his ginormous raccoon form, or his ginormous tanuki form, as he then begins he dives into the sea into the Dune Sea. As he begins, he's basically like a shark in a ginormous sea of sand. As now Kaguya actually seeing him would then say, I would basically then think, "Oh no, you don't. They're mine. They came to me fair and square. I have claimed them. They are mine." As suddenly the barge would begin glowing, as a symbol would open up on the barge. Now this symbol is just a symbol of a Rene Sharingan. of the Rene Sharingan, as the barge then turns from brown to white and looks more like it was a godly chariot and a godly and divine boat. As now Shukaku actually gets close to the point where he can look at Kaguya, as he then sees Kaguya, and he then says, well, no, he doesn't say, he then thinks, wait a minute, Grandma? Oh no, oh no, oh no. She has the kids. As Shukaku then turns into his humanoid form and jumps out of the sea, and out of the dune sea onto the boat. As he then says, Grandmother, why are you taking my son and Saiken's kid? As she then says, well, obviously they're mine. Look at the collars. As he looks at their necks and sees the collars. As she then says, as just like me, they'll live on forever. And it will be like a little immortal paradise. You'll be able to see them whenever you want. And you'll be able to see them eventually from time to time, and I'll see them whenever I want. Because they'll always be there by my side. Now, excuse me, as Kaguya then, and basically speeds up the barge, as Shukaku is basically knocked down into the dune sea. As he rises up in his ginormous raccoon form and says, God damn it! And he basically then thinks, God damn it, I didn't want to do this, but as he then shrieks at the top of his lungs, Saiken! As suddenly, a enormous slug with 6 tails wobbles out of nowhere. As this is, of course, Saiken, as Shukaku then says, Saiken, there you are. It's grandmother. It's grandmother. She has them. She has my kid. And she has my son and your daughter. The Saiken then says, what? Hold on. As he then creates a ginormous acidic bubble surrounding the barge. As Kaguya then thinks, so he's trying to use his acidic bubbles to try and stop me, huh? Well, as she then opens her third eye and stares at Saiken, as he looks and is put under a genjutsu. As she then says, as hopefully that'll slow him down for a bit, as Shukaku runs over to Saiken and then says, hey dude. As she then says, hey bro, wake up. Bro, wake up. As he then shakes Saiken awake, and he then says, Grandma's getting away with our kids. Kaguya's getting away with our kids. As she basically, as the barge then hits the outskirts of, basically hits the edge of the the first realm. As then says, she's getting away. Hurry before she gets into the safety and comfort of her realm. As then she hops into the second realm. And as she hops into the second realm, and basically, it's like a clock. You see, it was easy for Kaguya to get from the 11th realm to the first realm because she only had to go through the 12th and 13th realms. However, she has to go from 1 all the way back to 11. So yeah, oof. As the two brothers basically are chasing after Kaguya and the two and their kids, as well, Kaguya basically reaches the second realm, or the realm of, or the boiling sea, or the nether realm, as the nether realm is covered in blue fire. It is basically, it's like ice. It's like a realm made of entirely out of ice. Except freezing water. Except there's freezing water that can melt your skin off. And blue fire that's so cold it actually can burn. As this is, of course, the realm of Matatabi. As she basically began. Now, this realm is kind of such as a like a giant cavern or canyon. Basically, she's jumping off of pillars of ice onto other pillars of ice, trying to get to the edge. As she's jumping off pillars of ice, while the two brothers are following her as they go into their human forms. And as one of them goes into their human form, as the other is basically just floating in a acidic bubble. And is basically just floating around in a giant bubble. As, well, eventually they reach Spirit Fire Peak. As suddenly a woman who looks like this walks out of the Spirit Fire Peak. As this woman then says, "Huh? What in the... Is that Grandma and Shukaku and Saiken? What in the..." As Shukaku then says, "Help! She has my kid. She has my son and Saiken's daughter. She's trying to get home. She's trying to get back to her realm home before we can take our kids back." As then Matatabi goes into her ginormous blue fire cat form and begins joining the chase. As soon as they reach high tide shores, or the third realm. In the third realm, we see this guy. He's just trying to fish. And then this whole commotion happens, as he then says, "My God," and turns into his ginormous Isobu form. As he then says, "My Lord, what is wrong?" As the three then say, and as Shukaku then says, as Kaguya has kidnapped my son and Saiken's daughter. As Isobu then begins joining the chase, and, well, yeah, sort of the same thing. It just keeps happening for all the other beasts. Until soon they've passed through 10 and through 9 realms. As they then see a woman. Hold on, my god, where's the picture? Sorry, I should really move this upward. Hold on. Okay, as suddenly a woman who looks like this, or Kaguya's daughter basically, then says, "What is everyone doing? Is that Mom?" As, well, Shinju then says, "Excuse me, but what the hell is going on?" As I then explain, and Shinju then says, "Ugh, hold on, Mom." As Shinju goes into her ginormous ten-tails state, and instead of chasing after Kaguya, she then basically lifts up a ginormous drawbridge, and a ginormous thing blocking Kaguya, which is the exit out of the 11th realm, and out of the 10th realm. As well, Kaguya gets away. As then everyone just looks at Shinju and says, "You fool. God, darn you, Shinju, why?" As Shinju then says, "Because it's my mom and I have to help her in any way possible." As she then turns back in this form and says, "Anyways, leave me alone, I'm playing chess against myself." As eventually, after that whole long chase, basically Kaguya gets home back to the 11th realm, as she then says, "Okay, during that chase, I got some mix from the first realm, milk from the second realm, a bowl from the third realm, instructions from the fourth realm, eggs from the fifth realm, chocolate from the sixth realm, along with many other things, and finally, I can make a cake." As Kaguya basically makes a ginormous cake that says, "Welcome to your," "Welcome to your new life." As well, outside of the 11th realm, we see Shukaku along with eight others, as as 9 of the 10 demon lords are there, as they're knocking on the door like hail, and they're trying to bust through into the 11th realm. However, Kaguya has it locked down to the point where they cannot get in. As then Shukaku says, "I got it." As well, pretty much, Shukaku, along with some other demon lords, basically they begin merging their attacks. Merging their strongest types of attacks and their Kigegenkais. as then they actually begin to crack the protective barrier shielding the 11th realm. As soon they actually break a hole in the barrier, as they then climb through the hole and into the 11th realm, or the Seal of the Moon, as that's what the 11th realm is called. As suddenly, as eventually they reach Kaguya's home, as Kaguya basically looks outside and sees the 9 demon lords, as she then thinks, well, that ain't going to happen to Ho. It appears they actually broke through. Well, they aren't reaching us today. As she then, by just using her imagination, and her chakra, begins creating a ginormous mountain-like death trap underneath the home that she's on, and underneath the temple she has built. As basically only Shukaku breaks through. As Shukaku basically gets through the ginormous mountain-like death trap and sees Kaguya with the 2 children, as his parental instincts kick in, and he rushes over to Naruto. As Kaguya tries to block Shukaku, as the 2 then go into a taijutsu battle. As then Shukaku basically flings Kaguya into a wall. As he then says, it was a terrible mistake bringing you here. As he then grabs Naruto and says, it's okay. As he then basically teleports, and as he then begins manipulating chakra flow around him. However, it's taking some time because he isn't in his realm. As suddenly matter around them begins to slowly turn into sand. And as the sand begins slowly swirling around the 2, and around Shukaku and Naruto. As Kaguya then says, no! He's mine, not yours. As Shukaku then says, so this collar, it must be some sort of status of ownership, huh? As he then basically morphs his hand into a ginormous blade, and is just about to try and break the collar. As Kaguya then teleports the collar into her hand. As now, I'm off of Naruto and into her hand, trying to protect the collar. As I've explained, those collars are basically like binding contracts. Basically, if a collar is broken, then that person will die. However, Shukaku does not know this. And, well, only Shukaku's attacks only Shukaku can break Naruto's collar, as only Saiken can break. Well, only Saiken can break Amaya's collar. As well, she tries to rush over to where Shukaku and Naruto is to try and grab Naruto out of Shukaku's hands. As then Shukaku basically, as suddenly the chakra flow around them gets a bit better. As Kurama begins using his chakra to help Shukaku. As suddenly the sand swirling around Naruto and Shukaku then creates a ginormous spiral that then just goes up and up and up, as then the two are beamed upward, as the sand then disappears and stops, and as the sand stops moving and just dissipates. As Kaguya then and says, "No, no, 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 no," as she then grabs her arm. As she then grabs a, well, as she then makes two ash bones and begins attacking the other 8 demon lords. As, long story short, she defeats them. She basically defeats them and keeps Amaya with her. However, as she then tries to teleport out to follow Shukaku, the demon lords then all begin nodding at each other. As then Kurama appears. As then they go to the 13th realm, which is Hagoromo's. As Hagoromo then basically goes right in front of the 11th realm and begins floating. As it then floats to the center of the 11th realm, high above it, and then says this: I allowed you to at least have your realm in this realm of realms. Now you will still be here, but no one will ever be able to come. But now you will not be able to get out, and no one will be able to get in. As suddenly, the 11th realm would begin glowing a purple color around the border. As suddenly a purple barrier would surround the 11th realm. As he would then say, I also teleport Shukaku's castle back to the earth. As Shukaku's castle gets transported back to earth. As, well, we go to Shukaku and Naruto, as Shukaku basically teleports down with, basically, he lands in, of course, the Sand Village, along with his castle and Naruto. As Shukaku basically begins running around the 5 realms, asking for a genjutsu expert. Someone who can help him. And someone who can help and basically give his son back a form of freedom. or sort of erase all of Naruto's memories. As he basically is wandering around the 5 elemental nations as he reaches the land of iron. As suddenly, as he meets a man in the land of iron, just a old alchemist. Yes, alchemists have just begun, and the age of alchemists has begun. As he then says, and as Shukaku basically runs over to the alchemist and says, can you erase memories? As the old man, and as the alchemist then says, you want me to erase your memories? Memories? With what? A potion? As he then says, no, not my memories, my son. He's a goddess, basically. He has grown attached to my son and made it to where he can only feel and to where he can only think about her, only care for her. I need my son's memories to be erased. Haste, as what she used was no type of genjutsu or anything, simply just mental torment. So I need help. As the alchemist then says, fine, I'll help you for free. After all, I know exactly who you are, our demon lord Shukaku. As Shukaku then says, good. Now, please help me. As the alchemist then hands him a potion that looks like, as the man basically, as the alchemist hands over to Shukaku a yellow potion, a golden potion, which looks like this, as it is a memory potion. Basically, it permanently erases the person's memories. Permanently, as the only way for Naruto to regain those memories is to re-experience them entirely. And re-experience all the lost memories entirely, as that's the only way to get them back. As Shukaku basically grabs the potion and says thank you, as the alchemist then says you're welcome. As Shukaku basically teleports over to where? And back to his castle with Naruto. As he walks over to Naruto and says, son, please drink this. Naruto, being in an angry state, then says, fine. As his dad would have disguised the potion as a regular flask of water. As Naruto then drinks the potion, as suddenly a golden aura and a golden sort of energy or aura begins emitting from Naruto and going all around him. As suddenly Naruto basically falls over unconscious. As when he wakes up, he says, who are you? Where am I? Where are... Who am I? And that's where I'm ending this part off. Hope y'all enjoyed part 3 of What If Naruto was Shukaku's son. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. And if you are watching and I'ma say 15. I'ma say 15 likes and I'll do part 4, or as soon as possible.